And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon, and today I'm talking with Robert Brill. And Robert, first of all, thank you for being my guest today, man.
Thanks for having me, Michael. Appreciate it.
You are welcome. It's going to be a really neat conversation. Robert runs a company called Brill Media, and they are a media buying agency. And really, what that means to you listening is they can help you buy multiple channels of media, structure a campaign, and get you great results. And that's what we're going to talk about. So let's dive in, Robert, and tell me, how in the world did you get doing what you do today?
I've been doing this for 20 years. 2 weeks out of college, I got a job at one of the top advertising agencies in the world, McCann, so Universal McCann, and I was an assistant digital media buyer, and I've been doing that work for the last 20 years. And the work is really about understanding who your audiences are, the type of media they consume, and using the tools that are available at the time to reach your people. And in 2005, 2006, it was buying ads on MySpace. 2000, yeah, 2009, 2010 is when, we started doing a lot more with Facebook. And really at the end of the day, in 2024, going into 2024, it's about using data, technology, algorithms, AI, machine learning to train systems, like to train Meta, to train Facebook and Instagram, to understand who your best customers are and do that at scale. And a lot of that work is actually done with creative iteration. So I can get into that, but it's really about just driving sales for clients using data.
All right. Well, you're going to have to unpack some things you just said there, because this was really intriguing, because you talked about knowing who your audience is,
Yeah.
the type of media they consume, and I think what happens many times, Robert, is um, advertisers, business owners, they don't think that way. They're so focused on themselves and their message, and I think there's a big disconnect there. So unpack
Yeah.
that a little bit, the importance of understanding your audience and where they are to be able to
Yeah.
reach them effectively.
It's where they are and which platforms are best to reach them. So a lot of what you're looking at is the transformative value that you provide. And some of it is, common sense. You can look at your sales records, you can look at the people in your HubSpot or your Zoho or your whatever customer relationship management, your CRM tool that you
Right.
use. You can get a sense of the types of people they are and use kind of like common sense insight to understand people and media consumption. But but you want to go beyond being a headline reader. That's one of the big things. Like for example, people on Facebook are going to be older. Does that mean campaigns reaching younger people won't work? No, they'll work. Just means from a headline perspective, there's more older people on Facebook. There's more younger people on TikTok, but there's also 40 and 50s and 60s and 70s on TikTok, right?
Right.
So the key thing here is understanding where your audiences are, the types of media they consume, the types of headspace they might be in while they're consuming that media, and then pairing that up with knowledge about what works and what doesn't. So I'll give you an example. Advertising on Twitter, X, is problematic for a couple different reasons. There's a brand safety concern, but even beyond that, even before, like even in 2015 and 16, ads on Twitter didn't work as well as ads on Meta because the algorithm that powers where those ads get delivered and who they get delivered to wasn't as strong on Twitter as it was on Meta.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you have the exact same audience, we're more likely to recommend ads on Meta than ads on X because they work better. It's a better algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
And the algorithm is really about its own training about understanding. Sorry, it's my wife. Sorry.
That's all right.
Um, it's really about understanding. So the algorithm is really a focus on understanding behaviors that people make in large sets
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook, off Facebook, etc., and pairing up the right message with the right person who's interested in buying this type of product or service right now. And
Mm-hmm.
Meta does it a lot better than like let's say Twitter or X does.
Okay. Um, The other thing that you dropped, the other bomb that you just dropped there was, and I'm reading between the lines here, but it's not just one channel. And I think a lot of business owners get drawn into, oh, you need to do Facebook ads, or you need to do webinars, or you need to do that. And it's so much more than that. With what you bring to the table is what I would call a multimedia or a multi-channel approach as you're looking at what are you trying to make happen and where is your audience? Because they're everywhere. Is that
The-
fair?
Yeah, and the answer to the question is, why do you need to do Meta? Why
Hmm.
do you need to do TikTok? And the why, the reason for that gets answered in the strategy. The big thing that a lot of businesses are missing is the thinking, which is the thinking and the strategy about why certain channels need to be on the campaign, and then subsequently what each component or each channel of the campaign solves for the campaign, because
Yeah.
different channels solve different challenges within the scope of a campaign, sort of like an orchestra, right? Like
Yeah.
you're not just going to have a violin player and a drum player just doing separate things. You're going to have you can have 20 different people to create that sound. And so the key goal here for us, that business owners should understand, is that you need to have a reason to run ads on Meta, and the reason can't be because everyone says I should.
Right.
The
Amen.
reason has to be, and so that's why, we espouse a really important sort of aspect of working with experts,
Yeah.
because experts will, for far lower cost than you might imagine, will accelerate, will fast forward you through thousands of hours of trial and error, and probably thousands or tens of thousands of dollars of bad advertising investment that just goes down the toilet.
Right.
So if you want to accelerate and not have to spend thousands of hours figuring it out on your own and making the mistakes, and tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars making the wrong advertising investments, that's when you work with an expert or a brand. And even if you have, $1,500 a month, we work with companies to grow their business, with starting at $1,500 a month.
Wow. So, and that's good. And I'm glad you said that because a lot of times when I have guests on, people go, "Well, there's no way they would work with me because I'm just a startup or I'm, maybe not a startup, but somebody's been in business 3 to 5 years. And,
Yeah.
and they're spending way more than $1,500 a month because they're buying leads or they're doing direct mail to a seminar to get 15 people in a room for a weekend. That works, but there might be a better way. And what I find, and I love the word that you use, strategy.
Yeah.
A lot of business owners don't do that part of it, and you get that right, dude, it solves a lot of issues.
Yeah. Because, the reality of it is that no one is expecting the average business owner to be a great marketer.
Right.
Just not just like you wouldn't come to me when you have an issue with your hip that hurts, or your knee or your ankle. Like, get me away
Yeah.
from you because I'll make it worse. Or like your car. The car needs fixing.
Yeah.
Get it away from me because I'm just gonna break it. Right? Like you wouldn't do that. So
Right.
you go to the expert because you don't want to deal with the physical pain or the financial pain or the inconvenience. So why do you allow that to happen with your marketing?
Yeah.
And the reason why people allow that to happen with their marketing is because there's a sort of like disconnection between the reality of marketing and what is perceived. The perception is that marketing on Facebook, let's say for example, is really easy. All you got to do is boost a post, and you spend a few $100s, and you're golden. There's 10 million there's 10 million businesses on Meta, and most of them are small businesses. And that's such a big money grab for Meta because you can spend money without having to make it difficult,
Mm,
but you don't get the results.
right.
When you work with a company that actually, has the scars, the wounds to prove it. We've been in the
Yeah.
business for a long time, me 20 years. um, we know what to do and what not to do so that your $1,000 acts like $10,000 and your $10,000 acts like $100,000.
Yeah. And the other thing that I'm perceiving, right? I'm speaking into the thing here that you bring to the table is that strategy that lets marketing and advertising messages on different channels, let's say,
Mhm.
work together. So let me give you the background. I was in Christian radio sales marketing years ago, right? And I learned from Roy Williams, one of my favorite marketing guys, is that one of the best partners with radio locally is billboard.
Mhm.
Billboard's a great reminder medium of what you just heard on the radio, right?
Mhm.
But I look at many billboards and they're terrible. It's like a paragraph. It's like, no, 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 no. So I would help my clients understand that a great radio campaign with a great billboard campaign can do amazing things to drive traffic through your business.
Yeah.
But it's that strategy that connects the different dots. Is that
100%.
okay?
So for example, like you can run ads on Facebook and Instagram
Hmm.
and then see your organic Google search improve. Why? Because more people are thinking about you, they're hearing about you. They're not going to buy from you today, but like in a
Right.
week and a half or a month and a half or a year and a half, depending on your purchase cycle,
Yeah.
you're going to be top of mind and at least they remember you enough to Google you. Now, if you run Google ads, your
Hmm.
Google ads will perform better because you have more people thinking about you.
Right.
If you run connected television or streaming advertising, 15 and 30-second commercials,
Right.
yet again, you're not going to get many direct sales from those ads, but your Google search ads are going to perform better. So it's understanding how to read the data and how to make good decisions with your investment
Yeah.
that pays off massive exponential dividends for businesses. And that's why we exist because we know how to make advertising work to grow businesses.
Yeah. All right, let's pause the recording, back up, and take that last thing that you said. We know how to make advertising work to grow businesses. How often do you hear that? Right?
Everyone, their mother does that.
Yeah. Well, but they
Well,
don't.
here's the thing. Here's like here's the competitive landscape. Yeah, I see your point. I see your point. Your point is go ahead.
No, no. My point is there are a lot of coaches out there who will tell you
Right.
Facebook. They don't have a clue. They might know how to do one thing. What you're bringing to the table is 20 years
Right.
of experience to
Yeah,
really
yeah.
understand how to make it work because advertising is not a cost. It
Yeah.
is an investment that
It's
pays
an
back
investment.
when you understand what Robert understands.
Right, right, right.
That's what I'm trying to
Well,
make. Yeah.
so yeah, there's a couple things there. Where I was going with your thought is that, I give everyone the benefit of that. There's so many people in the marketplace right now who've taken a course, who have a certificate. And I'm not talking about a certificate from a college, a 2-year
Right.
degree. I'm
Yeah.
talking about like they took a course
Yeah.
and that offer marketing. Literally all you need to offer marketing services is an internet, a computer connection, a computer, an internet connection, and a Facebook account. You can run Facebook ads. We don't have the
That's it.
20 years of experience. So one of the challenges our type of business faces is that there's so much noise
Yeah.
and so many people talking about things that grow businesses, but that are not actually viable solutions.
Right.
And as a business owner, it's really difficult to understand what's real and what's fake. So
Right.
that's one part of it. And I want to round that back to the initial comment, which is you don't need likes, comments, and shares. You need sales. You need to keep your accounting team busy.
Yeah.
And that's what we look at for our campaigns. Getting views, it's fine. It might be a proxy metric for
Yeah.
something, and there's some limited value in that. Like if you're a movie studio, we do some work with movie studios and we launch movies. And yeah, they need video views.
Right.
I mean, even going back by my first job at Universal McCann, uh, our client was Sony Pictures, and our campaigns were like, we need 30 million views of our trailer. That was the
Mhm.
entire goal. It wasn't to sell tickets,
Right.
but directly.
Right.
So there's a proxy metric of you might need views, you might need an engagement, but none of that matters until you generate a sale, and that's when things start to matter. So
Yeah.
we jump right to the end of the story. We say, what are we going to do today so that in a week and a half you generate sales?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big problem I have with a lot of agencies talking in the marketplace. They talk about all kinds of other things because they don't have the ability to actually generate sales. They don't have the strategy, they don't have the expertise in house. And as a result, many businesses, especially small businesses, will accept a product that is less than ideal. They will accept likes, comments, and shares and clicks as a success metric when you should, in fact, be looking at sales.
Absolutely. 100%. It's, yeah. Likes don't pay the light bill.
That's
Right.
right.
Um, and the other thing that I like about what you guys bring to the table, Robert, is, um, and I hate this phrase, you're a one-stop shop. But too many times when I get a coach who's graduated from a program, and
Yeah,
you ask them a question, they're like, "Well, I don't know, but I have a friend over here who does it." And now I'm talking with 3 or 4 vendors.
right.
Talk about the power that you have with your team, and how you can bring a client
Yeah,
and say, "Here's the strategy," and you we're your guy.
yeah. We're media agnostic, right? So we're not here to sell you Meta specifically, nor TikTok, nor streaming, nor Hulu, none of it. If tomorrow, like everyone went back to reading the newspaper, we'd be selling newspaper ads,
Right.
right? So it's the thinking that is the most valuable thing that we do. And no one wants to pay for thinking. That's just the reality of it. People don't like thinking. They like something that they can feel is much more tangible, which is
Yeah.
why we transact off of but running advertising campaigns mostly.
Mhm.
With some exception where there's like some consulting work tied to it. But the reality of it is that, you know, you need the reason for why you're running advertising campaigns on specific channels, and then you need help with the next 27 steps that come after making that decision.
Yes.
Because look, you know, I'll give you an example unrelated to advertising. I advise some friends to buy certain crypto. When I say advise, not financial advice,
Yeah.
just commentary. Like, you'll probably lose all your money. But by the way, I think it's really interesting. You should
Yeah.
put money in this. The crypto dropped 90%, they sold. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Robert, you lost me 90% of a small amount of money.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because you need to accept that you need to know what's going to happen over the next 2 to 5 years in that game.
Mhm.
And I kept buying in and buying in and buying in and buying in and buying in when it comes low. And I'm not, I don't talk about crypto, but the point is, like, you need to know what happens when you get punched in the face.
Yes.
What are the actions? You set a campaign live, and then what? What do
Yeah.
you do? Do you turn on new creative? Do you change the objective? Do you create new ad sets? Do you understand the system that tells you you shouldn't do that? You should do broad targeting, right?
Mhm.
It's not enough to just set up a campaign. You have to understand for all possible outcomes, what is your response to those outcomes?
Mhm.
And no, the thing is, no, like I said before, no one expects a business owner to be great at, like, selling books or
Mhm.
courses or manufacturing pens or whatever, and also be a 20-year expert in advertising. Like, that's
Right.
why you have experts. Like, no one expects you to do it. So why I don't, one of the big things that I try to crack, inside sort of conversations is, you're holding yourself to a standard that is dramatically, you're not setting yourself up for success, you're setting yourself up for failure
Yeah. Well,
by not working with experts.
and that's exactly where I think most business owners are. They're like the pinball in a pinball machine, right? Bing,
Yeah,
bing. It's just bouncing around, going from one to the next, going. They're looking for the the purple pill that actually works. And when I was in Christian radio, this is funny. You just mentioned this without saying it. Is I would sell annual advertising campaigns, and in
yeah.
radio, I mean, it's usually 13 weeks. That's it, because at
Mhm.
13 weeks, it's what we call the chickening out period. It's when you got your second bill from the radio station and you got zero results so far, because radio is a long term buy.
Yeah,
And I'd have to just really say, it's okay, Robert, hang in there. And guess what happened? After about the fourth month, fifth month, it started getting better
right,
because I got top of mind. I had consistency. I
right,
don't see business owners doing that. And that's where you and your team help with that strategy and go, here's what we're going to do. Oh, by the way, Robert, we need to change our ad about every 2 weeks because I'm tired of seeing it. Oh, shut up.
right. Well, and there's a couple of things on that too. I mean, isn't that life? Isn't that everything? Isn't
Yeah.
that what it means to have a good marriage? You keep working at it and you grow.
Yeah.
Doesn't that mean to be on a physical fitness journey? On day 27, it's gonna be horrible, but by day 35, you'll start to feel better, whatever the
Right.
case is, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's life. You
Yeah.
you nurture something, you grow stuff.
Yeah.
And we've been trained as consumers, when I say business consumers, consumers of business stuff, business products and services, that there is that one-stop solution.
Yeah.
And there is, but in order to get to that point, you've got to put, 3, 6, 12 months into it.
Right.
Right now, our business is humming from a sales perspective because we spent the last 10 years figuring it out. So
Right.
today, I know the actions to take to grow our business, to generate leads that turn into sales. I know what to do there.
Right.
But if I give that same advice to myself 8 years ago or to a new business owner, it's not going to work
Right.
because they don't have the systems, they don't have the insight, they don't have the product market fit, they don't have the time, they don't have, they're risk averse,
Yeah.
and all those things add up into levels of failure. So what I like to do is really look at, I like to do things in my world, especially with regards to business, that benefits me in at least two ways. Most things that I do, that I allocate my time on for business, is something that benefits me in two or more ways. So for
Mm-hmm.
example, I'm learning search engine optimization.
Mm-hmm.
We don't offer search engine optimization services for our clients, but I've been literally trying to crack the nut on SEO for my business for like 5 years.
Uh-huh.
I just couldn't figure it out. So I hired someone, I paid them a bunch of thousands of dollars. They gave me like the system, and now I have a year's worth of work to do.
Right.
It literally took me 5 years, and then I had to pay someone. If I would have found this person 5 years ago, who
Yeah.
knows where we'd be,
Right.
right? So now it benefits me twice because now I understand something about marketing that I didn't understand before,
Mm-hmm.
which improves my business and improves my understanding of what our customer is going through.
Yeah.
So I advise business owners to do things that are duplicate and triplicate in benefit.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I like that concept. And I'm sitting here thinking, um, you keep going back to hiring experts. So if you're an estate planning attorney and you're listening to this,
Mhm.
and somebody comes to you, you're talking to somebody at a Rotary Club or whatever, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I went to the online attorney place and I did my own will and estate." What do you think of that person? You're like, "Oh, you've messed up big time and you're in danger," right? Same thing here with you trying to do your marketing. You are leaving money on the table. You're wasting time, effort, money. You're creating headaches that you don't need to create because your
Yeah,
job is to do estate plans and work with people like Robert to grow the business. Is that a fair analogy?
100%.
Okay.
It's actually kind of crazy considering, like, especially for product companies, I understand it's a different type of business. But if you're a service, if you provide an expert service,
Yeah.
it's fascinating to me that people who understand the value of expertise and training and education around that topic
Yeah.
will not value people who also have the same type of training but in a different field. Like, it's crazy to me. Like
Yeah.
doctors.
Oh yeah.
Why don't doctors understand that their highest value work is not in Facebook? It's
That's right.
making some person feel better because they went to like 20 years of I don't know, 10,
A long
15
time.
years of education.
Yeah.
Why would you ever spend your time in Facebook? That is so low value compared to what you know how to do.
Yeah. Exactly. And when you find the right, and I think it's a couple things. I think one, it could be sometimes ego, but number two, I think a lot of times they've been burned by those
Yeah,
certificated people, and they're like, I'm smarter than them. I can figure this out, but
right.
they don't do the math on the ROI and the fact that yeah, you can figure out the system and the tactic, but if you don't have the strategy behind you, you're you're wasting your time.
100%. And it's also, there are certain types of individuals in all professions that, there's some people that have to know every aspect of a thing before they can feel comfortable
Right.
spending money against it.
Yeah.
Which I think is it's a feature from an education perspective. It's a bug from a growth perspective. You
Absolutely.
can't actually grow with that mindset because
That's right.
I don't know how, like my iPhone, I have no idea how this thing works, but I know it does some amazing things. No
It is,
clue.
it's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah. And
Yeah.
in the yeah, I think I'm like you. It's like I don't care how it works.
Yeah.
I like the fact that it works.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like the fact that, we've built we built systems. You said systems. I'm big on systems, right? We built systems, teams, processes, partnerships, and all that. That I'm at a place now. Appointments just show up on my calendar. I get to
Mm.
do what I'm best at because we've spent 11 years building this thing, right? And I think business owners want the other lie that's out there, the myth they're believing is you can scale your business to an 8-figure business in the next 90 days. And it's like, no, you can't. Okay, because they don't have the systems, the strategies and things. And what they need to understand is business really, my opinion, is a long-term play, right? I'm setting 200-year goals for my business because I want to hand it off to my children, my
Mm.
grandchildren, so that every decision we make with that in mind
That's
and
cool.
say, wow, that changes the game a lot, right? But it helps us make better informed decisions, and I'm not chasing every shiny object. Um,
100%.
Golly. Okay. Robert, I know you and I could talk for another hour or two because this is really super fascinating, and you've hit my hot button, and you do something that I don't know that I've ever had. I've never talked to anybody on this podcast that has the ammunition that you have, the resources at your fingertips, and the
Yeah.
experience, the depth of experience that you bring to the table. Where does my audience go to take that next step to just start understanding more about you and your company and how they might engage with you?
Yeah, so our website is Brill Media, B as in boy, RILL media.co.
Mm,
And there's a contact us button. Hit that, schedule it. You can access our calendar right there and schedule a time, or you can send us a message and you'll get prompted to schedule a time. And we'll have a 30-minute conversation and we'll talk about ways that we can help grow your business. Our packages start at $1,500 and we scale up from there.
I love it. It is super, dare I say, affordable. Forget that. I mean, here's the
Yeah.
deal. As a business owner, you're investing money in marketing. You better be. And there's no better way to do it than to work with an expert who really understands the landscape of media.
Yeah.
And how do I take your message and connect it with your audience where they are? Because and that's the thing I love about what you do is my audience is everywhere. Should I do Facebook? Should I do LinkedIn? Should I do, well, it depends, right?
Yeah.
So it's asking those questions, having that conversation, and going, huh, this is a little different.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that you're a little different.
Yeah.
So, um,
Ask my wife. She might say a lot different.
I love that. I love it. Robert, man, this has been phenomenal. I'm going to grab the domain brillmedia.co. I'm going to have that in the show notes. So
Okay.
our audience can reach out and find out more about you, find out how you can help them really use advertising to grow your business when it's done right, when it's done strategically, and when you've got
Yeah.
a good partner behind you. So, man, thank you, Robert, for being my guest today.
Thank you, Michael. Really appreciate the time.